It's been 7 months since I quit Genshin Impact and quit Star Rail. The only two Hoyoverse games I was playing. There was some things to say now as well. So, it's surprising how many things change and how the trends change in that time because, you know, back when Genshin Impact was new, people were very much on board with it. I was a bit late to the party, I joined in 1.3, and I stuck with it for a few years and started playing Hoyoverse Star Rail at some point and then quit that because I was fed up with its stupid game design in areas. Then came back and stuck with it until like 2.2, I think. But yeah, Genshin Impact just stopped at about 5.4, I'd like to say. But there's like a specific reason why I stopped playing these games, and it's because of the entire premise that the game was just gambling. Because no matter how you looked at it, it was manipulating you. And it turns out this is a growing trend in not just gaming, but casinos in general, where they make you believe that you're making a small winning, or they're advertising to you that you really need this thing, and they make it appealing in some way. This is exactly what's happening in Genshin Impact. And I've got a story out for that matter. So when I refer to them, I'll just say Hoyoverse. And there's been a disappointing trend even in gaming spaces, unfortunately, recently, where somehow worse gacha games have been promoted and become popular because other YouTubers are doing it. And I'm calling out every fucking Twitch channel and every YouTuber that has played this, because this is frankly disgusting behaviour. Because it doesn't matter how well the game is designed, there is the risk of gambling in that. And what is the age rating of this? I'm talking about Uma Musume. I forgot what it's called. Uma Musume. Just look at age rating, because I haven't actually looked at it before. Okay, apparently it's an 18 plus game now, which is good. But Jesus Christ, like, fair enough if it's 18 plus, like, you can't really critique that much. But I will say there's a problem if you're advertising it to children, and it does exactly appeal to children, believe it or not. Because Big Boober is actually something that appeals to a lot of teenage boys, and that's why Hoyoverse games have gotten popular themselves, because it preys on a vulnerable and unfortunately horny a lot of people, and that itself is an issue. But when you add a gambling aspect of it and this essentially FOMO element of that, where you don't want to miss out on a certain character because it appeals to you, then it just becomes extremely manipulative. And this is what I found with Uma Musume when I watched it, when I saw the gameplay of it, because I thought, okay, funny horse game, kind of weird, but sure. But then I found out it was a gacha, I found out it was on the Play Store, and it made me realise, oh, what the fuck is going on there? And the reviews weren't good, to put it simply. And it seems like a flawed game even from the gameplay I did see. Because even though you can enjoy yourself, which I definitely was with Hoyoverse games, it doesn't outweigh the fact that there is a very real consequence to the gambling aspect, and were Hoyoverse games to become a 18 plus game, I might consider playing them. But again, the appeal is to children, and it doesn't matter what the age rating is. Well, for fuck's sake, I was playing Left 4 Dead 2 at the age of 13. Yeah, I was playing GTA San Andreas at the age of 11. It doesn't matter what the age rating is, and it becomes more of a ethical question rather than, oh, this is for adults. Because the problem that we have now is adults are having their lives ruined, especially young adults, because of gambling. And that's becoming a massive problem. Sorry, my throat's going a bit weird. Sorry for the cough. Yeah, it's as I said, things changed at that time, but I don't think Hoyoverse games has, to my knowledge. And I've called this out since the start of the game, really. I've never liked the gacha system, because I've seen what it does. It is a manipulative game. You can't play it free to play. You have to pay for it to even get somewhere. And even then, you have to play for years to even get somewhere with a free to play account. And people are like doing this huge copium in that community, for Genshin Impact at least, where they say that free to play characters are capable of doing the endgame content. When the actual reality is, the players who are doing it are highly skilled and highly lucky, and they're doing speedruns specifically. So these tactics do not even necessarily appeal to the casual player, or the average player for that matter. So of course this is a fucking lie. You can't actually do it free to play. But then you look at the trend of the endgame content, which is like Spiral Abyss and Imaginarium Theatre, where you, by the way, need more characters. You can't actually do Imaginarium Theatre with free to play characters for that. It's literally impossible. The content becomes too difficult, and because the health pool is so high, with each character released being stronger than the last, because of their numbers, not because of their kit, it becomes impossible to catch up. And so there is no way to address that, which is why you're forced to pay. But what happens when you do all this grinding and you pay for like the battle pass and the Welkin, whatever it is, and you still can't get the character you want? There's only one option, isn't there? Gambling. So you have to spend potentially hundreds of pounds or dollars, whatever currency you use, to even get to a point where you can get this character that you want, and a character you potentially need as well, because of, again, the absurd inflation and scaling that the game has. And that in itself is a massive problem. But as I sort of predicted as well, the more quandary with a game like Genshin Impact, as that become popular, is companies started to realise, game companies specifically, that there was an untapped market here. They realised that, oh, big open world game with anime graphics, that's a big untapped market, and so suddenly we're starting to see a lot of fucking duplicates of this very thing. And they're starting to exist even more now than there was even like teased a few years ago. The closest thing I think we got was like Tower of Fantasy, and then the next best thing apparently we got was Wuthering Waves. And then there's now a GTA anime game, which by the way is a gacha, and I won't fucking touch it for that reason. And it looks like garbage because it doesn't appeal to me in the slightest. I like the aspects of Grand Theft Auto. I do like that about this anime game. But why the fuck is the story so bad, and why the fuck are there no like male characters? Jesus Christ. It's just so badly designed. Like Jesus. And yes, I'm gay. Kind of. That's besides the point. You know, there needs to be equal representation. Like, also, where are the fucking black characters as well? Because also on the topic of equality, the entire point of having representation is to show solidarity, to show that we're acknowledged and we're welcome, for that matter. And the problem when games don't do this is it actually makes you think that the game doesn't actually welcome you. So it becomes a big issue there. That's why people make a big deal out of it. So you can't really ignore this stuff. But when it comes to Genshin Impact, I'm going to start out, I don't really recall any proper representation. There's maybe hints here and there, but that was about it. And it wasn't actual representation. which is bizarre. But then there's also stupid aspects to the game as well, which I've criticised relentlessly, like the terrible risen system, the terrible fucking artifact system, which was consistent across all games, and that sort of limited the power of even the premium characters. And of course, the film great story on having the gold passes, which by the way, pay to wins always existed in these because of the gambling aspect and the constellation system. It's always been bad. And that sort of made me realise that, oh shit, why the fuck am I playing this? It's obviously designed to manipulate you in that sense. Like, of course you're going to want Casters because she revives everyone in your fucking team. And that means that the content you do with Casters, which by the way is based on your account rather than in the party, is going to fucking change the tide of everything. So, this decision is absolutely baffling. And it was when I first heard it, and it still is now. It's one of the most pay-to-win things I've ever heard of. Because it makes no sense not to have the character. Essentially, it's a loss for the account, and with content essentially it's going to be designed for that. Yeah, people are going to fucking want the character and gamble on it. So we have this other issue now of a stronger incentive of getting a said character and gambling. So, what really came to say is that all gambling representation is bad, and that's why I still consider the people who play like Uma Musume and whatever new fucking gacha game there is are equally morally culpable. Because this incentivizes new problems. Like if someone watches this and thinks, yeah, I like the looks of this game, I might try it. The horse game, like yeah, people probably will. And then we have a problem there, where these people can become new problem gamblers, and not only ruin their fucking lives, but other people's lives as a result. And I have to refer to a video by CoffeeZilla that he made recently about the problem of gambling online. I'll try and find the title because I actually just watched it. Investigating the online gambling epidemic is what it's called. I do recommend you watch it because it's pretty important. But holy crap, it is frustrating as hell. But why the hell is there even this online gambling epidemic to begin with? To me, it just shows that people are corrupt, because even the places taking sponsorships who are not necessarily gambling themselves are considered corrupt, because they're willing to compromise on morals just to get some fucking money. Like, are you kidding me? That is literally the definition of corruption. It's literally putting people under your foot to get somewhere. And that's just gross. It's disgusting. I haven't really talked about it much, but I used to fantasize a lot, even in my younger adult years. Well, I'm 28 now, but when I was like really early, I used to fantasize a lot as a kid about having lots of money and what I'll do with it. I think about the house I have, cars I have, and stuff. And as I grew older, I sort of phased out of it. I started to realise along with my mental health issues that actually this stuff I don't really need. And it's like in 2016 or something, where I realised, wait, I don't actually need this stuff. I don't need all this money. And so I just started to realise, if I ever had that money, I wouldn't actually spend it on myself. I have to spend it on others first. And at least make sure I'm living in a situation where I can live happily, at least, live comfortably, maybe even support family. But I definitely wouldn't go overboard. I wouldn't say buy a mansion, I wouldn't buy fancy cars or anything. Nothing like that. And now I'm 28, and I've thought more on the ethics of something like money and other topics, say politics, whatever. And I don't actually want the money. That's the crazy thing. Because even in my current living situation, I'm not earning enough to address the cost of living. But I do want at least a way out of it, so that I can live a better life. But one that isn't obviously stupid, like the billionaires are going. Like, fucking hell. A lot of the things that the billionaires are doing do not actually fucking need that stuff. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah, so literally all I want is like a house in maybe the countryside or something, and maybe a reliable electric car. And that's it really. You know, being able to live off grid, having a fucking landscape, which as an artist, or sort of artist, I'm not great at it. It's definitely a dream come true. And that's all I need. I don't need any mansions, I don't need fucking luxury apartments, like, I don't even need a fucking offshore account. I sort of said this about if I ever become a politician, for example. I wouldn't want the luxuries of a politician necessarily. Just want the bare minimum, and any excess money I have, I won't keep for myself. I'll give it to someone else. It's just, when I go, I give it to the homeless, I give it to a charity. And if it's possible, I give it to preventing some of the biggest disasters in the world, like climate change. So that's important. Anyway, I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I was going to talk about how you can know if you're easily susceptible to corruption. I think it's really simply a matter of if you have empathy to begin with. Like, if you can empathise, you're probably not easy to be corrupted. If you don't have empathy, then you could probably actually be easily corrupted and obviously be paid off for whatever. You know, you could literally see a crime in the street or something, and someone might, on a murder or whatever, commit the crime, whatever action it is, could just pay you, and you know you wouldn't give a shit in the end because you got the money. You don't need to say a thing, so it's essentially a cover-up. You know, that's the danger. Essentially, a lack of empathy is in itself a moral problem. It's a big Well, apathy is a big epidemic at the moment as well, and that's why we see gambling ads no matter. Unfortunately, when people start to play games that encourage gambling, like Uno Sume or Genshin Impact, that does encourage others to gamble, and that's a big problem, really. You know, it's a big controversy waiting to happen, and no doubt causes a lot of people to suffer. You know, just because you're playing the game so that others don't have to doesn't mean that people aren't gonna jump on the game and gamble. It could literally have the opposite effect. And it's the same with even playing games so that people don't have to buy them. For the games that don't have this shit, you can encounter the same problem. It's not very common nowadays, but it's still a problem regardless. Really, people should do their research and obviously find smaller content creators to do the playthroughs. You know, it shouldn't be big content creators that are even showing the games, to be honest. You know, the less I see of, for example, a recent game like Art Raiders, the better platforms will be. The better YouTube will be, better Twitch will be. Because frankly, it's the most fucking boring game to ever watch. And I'm fed up of seeing it. You know, we need to stop incentivizing trends and start incentivizing small indie games and diamonds in the rough, basically. You know, it's diamonds in the rough or hidden gems. I maybe got the wrong term there. Definitely a smaller game that people are not aware of. You know, should be promoting these instead, and that's far more important. Again, it's kind of like a real life topic about supporting local businesses rather than big, obviously convenient fast food places. You should always support a local business if you can. I support smaller ethical businesses. I buy my t-shirts from somewhere called Vegan Outfitters, as an example. Yeah, a bit pricey, but they're ethically made, and they're for the most part durable. They last me a good few years of constant use. But that's the point of that, really. Then I only buy good products if I have to, even if it's on a bad site. It's about making compromises there. And one of the things I realised again in late adulthood, if I want the world to change, I have to lead by example. It's as simple as that. And currently, because people lack that will to do so, others are suffering as a result. So again, people need to be held accountable for this. When someone's playing in Uma Sume or Genshin Impact, call them out. And I'm calling them out here. I should have called them out years ago, and yeah. What else can I say at this point? I pretty much made my point. So I don't know. But I suppose I can give an update on where I'm at with having quit Genshin Impact and on Story. 7 months later, I quit in, weirdly enough, I think it was April 1st this year, 2025. So yeah, weird date to do it, but I wasn't actually joking. That's an awkward thing about fucking April Fool's Day. I hate it. Also, I don't really like holidays. So fuck the holidays as well. Capitalist nightmares. Anyway, yeah, I seem to be doing better. I've managed to come off medication, which no doubt a game like Hoyoverse games probably doesn't help with. If I'm not getting a character, I'm a bit like, I don't know what to fucking do, and I start to panic and stuff. I've also come off alcohol and stuff. Again, that's sort of helped by the fact that I changed games, because to be honest, Genshin Impact and Story were quite mindless at times. They weren't exactly not focus heavy, but there was a lack of focus in that, I think, and that's kind of what I needed to avoid some of the problems that I'd have with otherwise these issues. So that's why that's a thing. Yeah. I think. Is there anything else? Also, it's like playing Final Fantasy 14. It's been mostly fun. Still some parts to improve, but either way, certainly a better game than others. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it though for the video. I'm interested to know if anyone has any thoughts or even objections, because I'm not the type of person to really just say these things and say that I'm not going to change my mind. Although I could have my mind changed even on something like this, which I've realised is a problem. Anyway, thanks for watching. Not sure when I'll see people next, because honestly, further and further I look into shit like this and hear about it, the less I want to live. So, I'll just say goodbye.